I remember the last C, conservation of natural resources.
Girl.
Roosevelt joined conservationists to protect America's natural resources. The Newlands Act of 1902 initiated various irrigation projects for the Western and added increasing vigor to the cause. Organizations such as the Boy Scouts of America and the Sierra Club flourished as concern over the U.S.'s natural frontier arose. Even though the government established positive acts during Roosevelt's term, due to the enormous earthquake in San Francisco in 1906, the stock market exchange in New York fell close to 50%, causing the economy to fall into a momentary recession where numerous banks and businesses went bankrupt. The Federal Reserve System was created as a result of this and helped regulate the economy.
Alright, let me absorb all this information.
Too slow.
William Taft was victorious in the 1908 elections against Democrat William Jennings Bryan and Socialist Eugene V. Debs, and succeeded after Roosevelt. On the contrary to the big stick policy, Taft introduced dollar diplomacy, in which he gained what he desired through money bribes. In his policy, Taft was aiming to extend the U.S.'s foreign policy to Latin America and East Asia. Plus, he wanted to get rid of all bad trust, so when he tried to get rid of U.S. Steel, supported by Roosevelt, tensions between the two former friends rose to new extremes.
Dang, political catfight. What? Who did they like better?
While Taft never had the popularity of Roosevelt, his reputation hit lows when the Payne-Aldrich Bill of 1909 was released. You see, part of Taft's campaign was his promise to lower tariffs. However, when he settled the tariff bill with the House of Representatives, the Senate replaced the bill with a completely different one written by Nelson W. Aldrich, calling for more tariff increases than tariff reductions. Republicans and many others were infuriated by the new bill, and in 1910, the issues within the Republican Party ultimately led to a split between the progressives and the Taft-supported Republicans.
Oh, that's sad. I bet the Democrats were happy, though.
Yeah, rightly so.
The split between the Republicans easily gave the Democrats the win for the election of 1912. It was a battle between Theodore Roosevelt, now on the progressive ballot, Taft on the Republican ballot, Woodrow Wilson on the Democratic ballot, and Eugene V. Debs on the Socialist ballot. Obviously, Wilson came out victorious.
So that means that Wilson was the third president in the progressive era, right?
Finally, we're getting somewhere with you.
Wilson's main goal as president was to take the triple wall of privilege: tariff, banks, and trust. In order to take care of trust, Wilson had Congress pass the Underwood Tariff of 1913, lowering import fees and enacting a graduated income tax to make up for the money lost by import fee reduction. The import fees created competitive pricing among consumers and increased the efficiency of manufacturers.
What about the banks? I mean, the people should have been dissatisfied with them considering the current panic of 1907.
Yeah, they were. Even writers criticized it. Take for instance Louis D. Brandeis' Other People's Money and How the Bankers Use It, written in 1914. It did nothing but expose the problems in American finances. Wilson took a stand in 1913 and asked Congress for major banking reforms. In the same year, the Federal Reserve Act was created, which then created the Federal Reserve Board, which looked over a nationwide system of 12 regional reserve districts and had the power to issue paper money called the Federal Reserve Notes.
You go, Wilson. Alright, next is trust. So, was he like Roosevelt who liked the good trust, or was he like Taft who hated all trust?
He also hated trust, but he was a bit more lenient with them than Taft was. Congress passed the Federal Trade Commission Act in 1914 in order to investigate trust activities and stop unfair trade practices. Again in 1914, the Clayton Antitrust Act was passed and expanded on the practices enacted by the Sherman Antitrust Act, but it also stated the labor unions were not considered trust and allowed for strikes and nonviolent protest by union members.
So his idea with trust was that they were all bad, but labor unions weren't trust, so they weren't bad.
Good. Alright, moving on.
As nationalism was swerving out of control and imperialist tension augmented, the European nations were entwined in a chaotic warfare. The Great War, or so it was coined, was started when Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria was assassinated by a Serbian nationalist, Gavrilo Princip. Thus, this led to Russia, France, and Great Britain versus Austria-Hungary, Germany, and Italy.
Did the US even enter the war?
Yes, as a seemingly neutral party, the U.S. prospered from commerce on both sides. However, trade began to increase for the Allies while the U.S. rarely exchanged with the Central Powers. America remained a neutral force against Germany until a German U-boat sunk a British passenger ship, which carried arsenals for the Allies and held 128 Americans on board, called the Lusitania. Then the Arabic a few months later, and lastly Sussex.
Whoa, baby, that's a lot.
In the elections of 1916, Woodrow Wilson was re-elected president because he kept us out of the war. However, that didn't really happen. Arthur Zimmermann, the German foreign minister, sent a telegram to Mexico, convincing them to attack the U.S. and reward for Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. That was the last straw, and the U.S. immediately sent the American Expeditionary Force to aid those in England and France. The Selective Service Act recruited numerous volunteers ranging from ages 17 to 46.
Hey, I actually know something about food. At the home front, the Lever Food and Field Control Act was passed, and its aim was to increase production and decrease consumption. Herbert Hoover was assigned the leader of the Food Administration. He proposed wheatless Mondays and meatless Tuesdays to conserve food. Furthermore, there were fuelless Mondays and gasless Sundays. On top of sacrificing other daily goods, the 18th Amendment was passed to prohibit the distribution, sale, and consumption of alcohol.
So, you're not as dumb as you look.
Alright, talk faster. I need to go home and eat dinner.
But did you know that George Creel advocated anti-German and pro-Allied sentiments by publishing propaganda through the media with the Committee of Public Information? Additionally, the Espionage Act of 1917 deemed it illegal to hinder the drafting system and asserted that anyone who sends obscene or anti-war mail would be charged. In addition, the Sedition Act was passed in 1918, and it considered that it was illegal to denounce the U.S. government in any way.
Do you want to pass or not? You know what? I'm tired of you. I'll let my apprentice take over.
So let me whip this up quickly for you.
For nearly 2 years, Americans fought in Europe. The creation of the torpedo boat made it easy to demolish the untersea boats. On January 12, 1919, the Big Four met up at the Paris Peace Conference. Their primary motive was to blame everything on Germany, but Woodrow Wilson proposed his 14 points. His intentions were to ban all secret treaties, arms reduction, free trade, reorganization of colonial claims, independence of minority groups, and the establishment of the League of Nations. But in the end, the U.S. never joined nor signed the Treaty of Versailles, since there was a dispute between the irreconcilable and reservationists.
I like you a lot better than that other fairy girl.
That's what all of my customers say. Satisfaction guaranteeing that little helmet of yours.
You must also note that during this time, women had more opportunities to work since men were off at war. Their support of the war gained them new respect, and this eventually led to the 19th Amendment, where women of all types earned suffrage rights. Blacks also received a chance to move up north in the Great Migration.
So buddy, do you see right there, that's the first Model T made by Ford. It was the first affordable car of the century.
Oh, look, a cool car.
Stop that right now, you're gonna get killed. But so here, my little buddy, is a speakeasy.
Ooh, beer.
Hey, stop it. Didn't you remember this was a time during the Prohibition? Look what alcohol really does. Hopeless. Don't touch me.
What?
Well, little girl, I've taught you well. Or good enough, anyway. So, one last thing. Do you know what time it is?
Come on, time.
It's go time!